What's going on, everybody? I'm Walter Hooper, the host of the Nottcast. This is a brand new episode, and all of our episodes can be found on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcast needs. So, without further ado, we're just going to jump right into it. Today, we have a guest here, one of the co-founding members of this facility that is the Nott co-working space in Grosse Pointe Park, Michigan, the business center for all local entrepreneurs and business owners to grow and expand their business. And I have here with me today the one, the only, Tabitha Mendez. What's going on, Tabitha? How are you?
Hey, Walter. Good to see you again. Always good to see you.
So, Tabitha and I connected about a couple weeks ago, so fairly recently, and I understand and was been told and notified that not only is she a founding member, but she also helped design part of this building and the layout. So I'm going to yield the floor to you, and I'm going to let you explain the story behind how you and Kevin, the owner, connected. The design, the layout, everything. I want to hear it. We want to hear it.
So I met Kevin. Actually, I was referred to Kevin by a client of mine. And he said, you're going to love his brain. His brain's a lot like yours. He's got a lot of projects going on, and he's very creative. And I feel like you guys would be a good connection for one another. And he just happened to open up work on this new project, this co-working space. And he needs some advertising, promotional products, things of that nature. And he said, I feel Savvy Advertising Solutions would be a good fit. So I met with Kevin, and, I usually schedule about 40 minutes for a meeting. It turned into a 3-hour meeting. So he took me on a tour of the Nott here. I fell in love with it instantly. He was, already at the beginning stages, and it was basically 4 walls and a ceiling. So I actually took quite a few pictures because I was quite enamored with the building, the beautiful historical building. It's very well engineered. It's located right on the border of Grosse Pointe in Detroit. It has a Grosse Pointe address, but it's nice because it's conveniently located 15 minutes from downtown Detroit. And I thought, man, this is a gem. I wish I could have thought of something like this. And as I delve in and realized like what a great opportunity this was, and I was fortunate enough to stumble upon it, and Kevin invited me in to his project and asked me to do the creative advertising and all the branding here. He had some ideas, and I said, well, let's switch it up a bit. I was inspired and encouraged by what he had already had laid out here. And I said, well, let's paint this wall green, and let's change this to gray. And he welcomed my ideas. He was very accepting and very warm. He's a lot like me, where we always say, if we're the smartest person in the room, we're in the wrong room. So he and I collaborate very nicely together. So I'm very fortunate for that relationship.
Oh, 1,000%. And having someone such as Kevin and yourself, have those creative minds and collaborate. I mean, that's how this place was born. And it's been an amazing journey, and we're so excited to see more foot traffic in here, having new faces in here, people, you're giving tours, and you're explaining to potential visitors and potential new members about the perks and why they should highly consider becoming a member here. So what was it about this place that captivated you right off the bat?
Well, first of all, it is located in Grosse Pointe, but it literally is like I take a couple feet to the left and I am standing in Detroit. And I always say no one loves Detroit more than Tabitha Mendez. I was born and raised in the city in Southwest Detroit, and how beautiful to have the coming together of two communities. And I don't know if you know the history, but there has been a lot of history between Detroit and Grosse Pointe, some negative. And I was excited mostly because it was an opportunity to change that, to welcome and to embrace the coming together of two communities, Detroit and Grosse Pointe. We were infamously in the news regarding maybe one bad person that did something wrong, right? It's always one in the crowd on the Grosse Pointe side. And so it was nice to see, it was refreshing to see this welcoming of Detroit meets Grosse Pointe. So that was the first thing that, really captivated me and made me want to be a part of this. And again, I have no financial bearing in this. And the fact that Kevin allowed me to come in and give my input, I was one of the very first. I think there were maybe 2 members. And of course, this was before the pandemic. And, we'd be in a much different situation, having a much different conversation if we didn't have the pandemic, but we did. And so that allowed us to, reflect and pivot and learn how to do things a little differently. So, yeah, it's been a great experience.
So you had brought up and mentioned the pandemic, and that was obviously a massive shift in everyone's world, professionally and personally. So for you and being here, what would you say was probably the biggest challenge that you faced when that happened, and especially with this place being established here for not that very long? What would you say was your biggest hurdle that you, and I would even rope Kevin into this, the both of you saw and ran into?
Well, and I don't want to speak for Kevin, but again, he's a lot like me. He and I have a lot of the same ideas. I consider him a technology, guru, mastermind. And I have a little bit of that, but not to the extent he has. But we're both very creative, and we both are very much a realist. So with that said, for myself, the biggest challenge that I faced was convincing people that, life is short and life is also a long time. But at the end of the day, it doesn't look like this pandemic is going away anytime soon. It was important for me to encourage my staff and let my staff know that they have a job. Their job is not going anywhere. So immediately we pivoted. I own a full service advertising agency. In fact, we are Detroit's only full service ad agency. So we specialize in leading edge business brand imaging as well as brand awareness. And we pivoted from full-time advertising, having interest in both screen printing and embroidery facilities here locally, which a lot of my competitors, usually they're a 6 to 8 week turnaround. We're a 2 to 3 week turnaround time. So the challenge that we faced is, we're no longer doing advertising because everyone, obviously cut their advertising. No one was in person. So we immediately pivoted and saw the need for PPE. We are a manufacturer's rep, so we ramped up, our production, and we had everything in stock: disposable gloves, hand sanitizer, any type of masks or respirator that was needed to keep people safe, to keep people in office. So the biggest challenge we had is, encouraging and keeping our staff motivated and helping them realize that, we're still going to meet at the Nott. You have a choice. You can meet in person or you can meet online. We were here when nobody else was here. We kind of had the Nott all to ourselves. So it was kind of nice. It was, the good old days back in 2020 and 2021, but of course we missed the social aspect of having people here. So it was nice when people started transitioning and finally coming in. So yeah, it's been a learning curve, to say the least, and a very interesting experience that I've never experienced in my lifetime.
Oh, truth. Truth.
Preach into the choir. Yeah. The end.
Yeah, the end. Hashtag the end. So let's shift over now. So you mentioned your company, and we're going to talk about this in another segment. Tell me and tell the audience about your company, the story, and the journey.
The journey for Savvy Advertising Solutions?
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. All right. So I've been in the advertising industry for 23 years, and I actually attended 3 different colleges: Wayne County Community College, Davenport University, which used to be Detroit College of Business, and Eastern Michigan University. And I probably took way more courses than I needed. I probably could, afford 3 degrees with all the courses, just because I love learning. If I could afford it, I would be a lifelong learning student. Anyway, I was studying elementary education major as my major, and minored in psychology. And then, unfortunately, things transpired, and I found myself in the midst of a divorce, filing for divorce. And I said, well, I got to put food on the table and buy, eggs, milk, and tortillas. So I graduated from college and opened an advertising agency because that's what you do, right?
Truth.
So, I have a book. I've written 9 books. One of my book is When Life Gives You Lemons, Make Apples. And I've become really good at making apples, which is basically making something out of nothing is the intent of the book. But anyway, so in 2007, my partner and I, split ways. And I used to be the vice president and executive account manager for Media Connection Advertising. I started in 1999, November, 23 years ago. And then in 2007, I was diagnosed with RSD, which I used to be embarrassed about. And I've kind of, it is what it is. I've grown with it. It's regional sympathetic dystrophy, and it is a non-disjunction on the chromosomes. My spinal cord stopped communicating with my right leg, and now it's now with my right hand. So it's a unilateral disease. It's on the right side, but I do pretty well. I've actually had probably in the last 15 years, since 2007, probably around maybe 4 flare-ups, and each time it takes me anywhere from 3 to 6 months to put it in remission. And then I go from a wheelchair to a walker to a cane and walking unsupported and even dancing in high heels. So, but right now, I'm having a flare up and I'm getting by pretty well. So, but the good news is, like Henry Ford said, failure is an opportunity to do it again wiser, right? So, so in 2007, I was in my basement and I logged on to Michigan.gov. I was on my walker because I couldn't get my wheelchair downstairs. And I logged on to Michigan.gov and I secured Savvy Advertising Solutions, Inc. And from there, it was on my grandfather's birthday, my papa, Jink Brewer Jr., who was also a business entrepreneur, probably one of the only business entrepreneurs in my family. He used to own O&J's Transmission Shop on Trumbull and also on Gratiot. And I think that's where I get my entrepreneurial spirit from, for sure. So I opened Savvy Advertising Solutions, and I moved my office from my basement eventually to the Grozio Airport, which is the Naval Air Station Grozio, on Grozio. And it was Naval Air Station actually decommissioned in 1969. George Bush Sr. trained there, Donald Rumsfeld, and Bob Barker. And I always get a good laugh out of Bob Barker. And so I had one of the old officer offices. It was really cool. There was a satellite photo from the 70s, early 70s. And I was thinking, how cool is this? They had that technology even back then, right? Man had landed on the moon in 69 and they already had satellites in the 70s. And there was a huge black and white banner. And, it probably was about 12 feet long. So it was pretty extraordinary, and it was a great conversation piece when my clients would come in my office and we'd point out, where are we and where do I live? This is my house, and here's where my kids play tennis, and here's where my kids golf, and here's where they go to high school. So it was a really cool conversation piece, not only for clients, but for visitors that would come in and fly in often, as it was still a municipal airport.
That's really cool. I've heard a lot of people's backgrounds and stories of their professional entrepreneur journey, but nothing like that. So
you're welcome, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's a massive thank you.
As Chuck Gatica from Channel 4 NBC WDIU meteorologist and weatherman would often say, Tabitha, you're very unconventional and you're very unorthodox, but that's what we like about you. He's one of my fellow pilots. He's also a pilot.
Well, that is a tale that I will definitely remember. Because we're documenting it,
and you get to revisit it. Right?
I get to revisit it over and over. So let's go into our last point here before we log off. Let's go into your role here at the Nott. So Kevin's kind of given and appointed certain individuals here, like myself, you, certain roles to help build and grow this amazing facility. Tell me about your role in growing membership and membership development, and what your hope and goal for this place is for the foreseeable future.
Excellent. So my official title is Community Relations, but I like to refer to myself as the Itty Bitty Welcome Committee. So as soon as
I like it.
as soon as someone walks in the door, I'm on it like, flies on, what. And it's because,
say it.
Flies on shit. But I don't usually curse, but, I have this concussion that I suffered 10 weeks ago when I fell off a cliff and down a mountain at Dewey Lake at Jenny Wiley State Park in Prestonburg, Kentucky. And so I've noticed that I have to watch my mouth these days. It's I guess it goes hand in hand with concussion. I was researching and learned that. So, yeah.
So, Itty Bitty Welcome Committee.
Yes.
How many members would you like to see, new members signed up here?
I want this place full. So my dream is to have this place full. I would like to, Kevin is an entrepreneur and he has many, many facets of his entrepreneurship. He and I both have the same philosophies where, we don't like to have all our eggs in one basket. We're very, very much, very diverse, and we like to have multiple streams of income. So we both have a lot of that type in common. I actually own multiple businesses and 2 charities that I founded. And so Kevin is very much like me in that respect. So I would like to have this place full so he's not worrying and stressing about it, and so that it's basically turnkey and operating itself on a daily basis. That's my goal.
Excellent. Well, I've seen you in action. Even though I have my headphones in, I see whenever people walk in that are brand new to the facility, whether they're on their own or they're visiting with with another member here. You're on it like that, and just being very welcoming, personable. That is huge, and that is important. Because that is the gateway into someone's decision on whether or not, see what I did there? They're gonna be present here.
Absolutely.
In the long term.
Absolutely.
Tabitha, how can people reach out to you for your business savvy advertising and or the welcoming committee? For the Nott, what is the best way that people can find you? Do you have social media, phone number, email?
All of the above. So, fortunately or unfortunately, I am the most Googleable person that is not famous. I'm more so infamous. But there are probably hundreds of pages out there on me, good, bad, or indifferent. So I'm very Googleable, if Googleable is a word I just made up. And I am on. I am on basically pretty much every social media you can think of. Facebook, Instagram. I am on Twitter. I'm on Truth. I'm on Parler. So you name it, I'm out there. And also the best way to reach me, I always say in this particular order, via text. I'm really good at getting back to text quickly. I consider myself TLC, the Tetris Lean, consultant. And so I like to organize my life, and my goal in life is to take 7 seconds off each task that I do. And I find that texting is my first line of communication. Second would be an email, and third, a phone call. And good luck with getting a phone call back. It's probably going to be 3 days. So I'm a very busy businesswoman, and like Kevin is, and so we will always get back to you. But it could take 24 to 48 hours. Just know that. But I do have a full working staff that I can facilitate. To help assist my clients with, or to assist people who are interested in becoming a member here at the Nott. My website is www.savvyadvertising.com, and that's S-A-V as in Victor, V as in Victor, Y, advertising.com.
So 2 V's.
2 V's, thank you, yes.
All right, well, Tabitha, thank you so much for taking the time today and chatting with me and being on the Nottcast. I know Kevin was super excited when I told him that you were going to be on here. He goes, oh my God, she would be such a great guest. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to be wonderful. And yeah, he wasn't wrong. So
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Very, very
so
kind.
I
Very humble.
appreciate everybody for listening and tuning into this episode of the Nottcast. If you haven't done so already, please follow us on Spotify, Apple, Google, YouTube. Subscribe, follow, and then on that YouTube channel, hit that bell so that you can get notified of all of the recent and latest happenings with the Nott and the Nottcast. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.
All right. Next time we'll be talking about the technology here. That's my next favorite.
Absolutely.
Have a good day, folks. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Take care.